not so funny if it happens to you, but this is a warning for you to really make sure that if you ever decide to get a tattoo, to really take it seriously. So I'm going under content, under tattoos, and today we were looking at tattoo regerts, which is regrets, spelt wrong. Now, just sort of piggyback on, remove myself over here, and what we talked about in our previous lesson about just the stages of going through getting a tattoo and all the things that you should look for when getting a tattoo and what a professional tattoo shop does to make sure that you get a tattoo. So this is sort of piggybacking on some of that stuff. So let's have a look at some funny stuff. And I'm hoping that when you did your tattoo interview homework, if you had a chance to actually talk to somebody about that, some of the interesting stories to see if there were any regrets or anything. So I regret nothing. So obviously this is an example of a tattoo where they've spelt regrets wrong. And that sucks because that's on your body for life. So let's look at then some of the top regrets from people that were polled. This is online. An article that I read. So according to this article, 17% of people that get tattoos end up regretting them later. And some of the top regrets for some of the tattoos is that they were too young when they got the tattoo. Another one is that the personality changed or the tattoo didn't fit their present lifestyle. Another one of the big regrets is they got someone's name tattooed on them and they're no longer with them. Another one was a tattoo was poorly done or doesn't look professional. And the last one is the tattoo isn't meaningful. Let's just look at, some of these examples. So one of the things that I know personally, just from people that I know have gotten tattoos, is that one of the things that they regret is that their tattoo is too small. Because when they're younger, they get a tattoo and they can only afford something small, or they're not really sure where their life is going, what they're going to do for their job, whether they should get a tattoo or not. So they get something really small. Now, the problem is there's nothing wrong with getting small tattoos. That's not the issue. It's just sometimes if it's too small, it doesn't necessarily fit your body well or where you've put it. And just to kind of show you a difference between here, looking at an inexpensive, simple tattoo, which is maybe something that you can afford when you're younger, and the difference between getting, something like this and something exceptional, like when you can afford something, it doesn't have to be huge, like the size of your back, but maybe something that's a little bit more higher quality, a little bit bigger. So this is an example of the original tattoo and then a cover-up. So quite often when you're younger and you get your first tattoo, you're scared, you're nervous, you get something just kind of small, and then you kind of regret it later. Let's look at some other things here. Cheap tattoos. I really want to talk about this because there's a reason why tattoos kind of are, you get what you pay for. If you're going to a tattoo shop and they're like, oh, 2 for 1, or I'll do that for $25, or there's a lot of things about why that tattoo is not very expensive. And again, we're dealing with not only just something that's going to be on your body for the rest of your life, but also you're dealing with your health. And we talked yesterday about all the different stages about getting a tattoo and why is it inexpensive? Is it because they're not using new needles every time? Is it because they're reusing ink? Right? Which again, is that cross-contamination is so dangerous for your health, is because they don't have a lot of experience and they're just trying to learn, which is okay, and everybody has to learn. But then we talked about how the depth of the tattoo needle, how it has to go through the epidermis into the dermis level for it to actually stay permanent, or else it ends up fading away. Or if they're not very experienced and they push too deeply, you end up being really scarred, right? Are the inks a lower quality? And because they're a lower quality, they won't last as long, or they fade, or even worse, they have more metals and things like that in them. And we'll talk tomorrow about some of the health risks with that. So this is something that's going to be on your body for the rest of your life. So make sure that you do get what you pay for. You want to make sure that all of those things are taken care of. It's not worth to risk getting something bad on the rest of your body for the rest of your life or risk your health just sort of for a good deal. So we also talked about what's really important too is the professional artists actually do the stencil, the blue stencil on you first, just to make sure that it's exactly where you want it and how you want it. You have consultations ahead of time to make sure that you approve this design that's going to be on your body, and that's to stop, accidents like this happening, spelling mistakes. Keep calm and carry on. Oh, could you imagine? That's not little, right? Never, don't give up. Right, the intention's there, but because it was just done in such a rush and probably without a consultation, right, he didn't have time to necessarily approve it and really think about this. So all of those steps are so, so, so important, and I am sure that people really regret these things, right? Again, you get what you pay for. This here, look at the blood, this poor person. This is supposed to be a galaxy, right? Make sure that you research the artist, you research the tattoo shop, you look at their portfolio and see what they're capable of ahead of time, so you're not stuck in something like this, right? If you want something that's realistic, this poor person, if you want something realistic, make sure that you're going to an artist that has a portfolio that shows high realism in their art. Don't end up like this. I don't know how you would cover this up. Okay. I shouldn't laugh at these poor people, right? But obviously these people did not do their research ahead of time and did not wait, right? Can you see what's wrong with this one? North, south, east, west, all the wrong spots. Well, they got the north part right. But, and again, the poor person, this is on their back, so they probably didn't see it till afterwards. What do you do, right? And it's poorly done. So make sure that you do all of your research and you really think about this ahead of time if you're considering getting a tattoo. My biggest thing that I can tell you, and I mean it, never, ever, 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 never get a tattoo of your husband, your wife, your boyfriend, your girlfriend, never on your body. Kids, go for it. Parents, grandparents, your pets, they will always be there. But don't ever put it to a lover. Now, because it's hard, and I know people that, it seemed like such a romantic gesture that, they've had like their wife's name, tattooed all out, around their arm, and then they get divorced, and he's got a tough dating life now because he's got this huge tattoo with somebody else's name, right? Like, this man really loved Brenda, but, how, if they ever break up, or how does he ever move on, right? But your kids, they'll always be your kids. Your grandparents, they'll always be your grandparents. So go ahead and do stuff like that. Another thing that's really important when you think about tattoos is to make sure that you're not being impulsive. So thank you, Mr. Zimney. Mr. Zimney just dropped off some stuff. Especially, I find a lot of people, they go to college or university and they think they're going to be really funny. And they're like, I'm going to go get a tattoo. Now, most professional places will not allow you to go get a tattoo if you're under the influence of alcohol or drugs. One, it thins your blood if you've been drinking, which means that when you get a tattoo, you do bleed. So that means you would bleed more, which means it's harder for them to actually see the tattoo, what they're doing. And you get a lower quality to tattoo. Plus, your judgment is impaired. Plus, most places, you can't walk in and just say, hey, I'm just going to get a tattoo right now. You have to have consultations and you make appointments and you wait. So, but a lot of people in college and university, they think they're being really funny by getting these witty tattoos. And sure, everybody else is laughing at you. They're really funny. But, how funny is that when, you're a father and your kids are looking at this and, you're going to the beach with your children and this is what's on your chest, or, you want a relationship and they're like, oh, that's pretty embarrassing, So things that were funny maybe at the time, maybe aren't funny when you're 60, maybe aren't funny when you get married or trying to find someone or as a parent, right? So you don't need to have a tattoo to make people laugh. People will be laughing at you. Okay, so don't be impulsive. Really think about, what you're getting, right? And again, that's another reason why we have consultations. I know so many people, and this was a fad for a long time, and still people that do it. And I I like it, I do, but like just getting something written in another language, different type of lettering is, I don't know, just really make sure you know what you're getting, right? Do your research, find people that know what you're talking about, right? Like, how do you know that that lettering, maybe you want it to say, love life, and really, like this guy, it says turkey sandwich. Like, really make sure that you know what's going on in your body. And then this goes on and on and on, but those are some of the big things that really stand out. And again, I can't stress enough that that's why it's so important to really take this seriously and do your research and take your time with it. It's a huge decision that you're making, really, on your body for the rest of your life. Now, there are some really neat shows, and again, I can't show videos on our live when I'm live teaching, but there's some really great shows on Spike TV about tattoo nightmares, where they're doing cover-ups for people, about people that have tattoo regerts, and they're doing tattoo cover-ups. So there's a really neat videos just to watch and see how they do it, and just some of the stories about people, about why they got tattoos. I mean, there's also like a bunch of tattoo artists that do free tattoo cover-ups for people that perhaps were in gangs and they got gang tattoos, and of course they're no longer in the gangs, and of course they're having a hard time moving on with their lives and getting jobs and etc. So there's lots of really neat shows about that. Now there is hope for people that do get tattoos that regret them and want them removed. There is tattoo removal. And the way that works, it's a laser. And we looked at how the ink is deposited in the dermis level, and why after a while it actually fades, because your body is slowly breaking down those little ink particles. They're breaking them apart because, they're foreign objects kind of in your body, and then it'll take it away and it ends up circulating through your blood out the liver. So what tattoo removal does, what the laser does, it actually speeds up that process. It actually breaks up all those little pieces smaller and smaller and smaller, so it can actually be taken away by your body a lot faster. So now it's not covered by OHIP or anything like that. Depending on the tattoo, you may have to go back a number of times. It's like, I've heard that's kind of like a sunburn, the way that that it works. It has its lasers and kind of shoots and blasts. And so it is, I heard that it's painful. I don't know. If you want to see the process, there's a great video here that you can watch just to see the tattoo removal. But again, to avoid all those things, again, really take it seriously. But they're fun to laugh at too. So, but I hope that you're never in that situation. So those are some of the tattoo regerts, and I'm interested to hear any of the stories from some of the interviews that you did to talk to people about tattoos. Okay, next lesson.